After Parties, Me the Jury segment. This is Talk to Me Thursday, where we will recap our trial coverage for the week. We are going to recap the Kouri Richins trial that ended on Monday. We're going to talk about closing arguments, and we got juror interviews, and we are going to get right into it. Start talking about it. Because I want to play much of the closing arguments because we didn't get a chance to do that because the verdict happened so fast on Monday. So I want to touch on that, really hear what solidified the jury's decision. And then I want to know what you thought about the verdict. Did you think that the jury got it right? Or do you think that they made a mistake? And what did you think about the fact that the verdict came in so quickly? All of these things I want to cover here today. So I'm going to jump right in with no delay. So join me as we begin to listen to closing arguments. I'm going to start from the beginning. I will jump around a little bit, but we're going to start at the beginning together. So let's get into it.
Please proceed.
Kouri Richins feels aggrieved and is thus an intensely ambitious person. She feels aggrieved because growing up, her father was an alcoholic who traded parenting for prison, and her mother a gambler who traded parenting for a casino. Kouri Richins thus worked for her aunt, cleaning the homes of rich people in Park City. She was not beneath those homeowners, but she felt that she was. This fueled in her an intense desire to appear privileged, affluent, and successful. She met Eric Richins. He was a successful business owner. He had money. They had a son, married, and had 2 more sons. Kouri Richins was on her way. But she was unhappy. She wanted to leave Eric Richins, but did not want to leave his money. Their prenuptial agreement meant that if she left him, she would also leave most of his money. So, Kouri Richins took $250,000 in equity out of Eric Richins' home without him knowing it, so that she could start her own business and earn enough money to leave Eric Richins. Kouri Richins is intensely ambitious. First with Eric's money and then other people's money, Kouri Richins carefully curated the facade of a privileged, affluent, successful business owner. Behind the facade, however, Kouri Richins was incompetent. She took tremendous risks. She borrowed money by any means necessary at exorbitant rates. She gambled other people's money and lost. Her business was imploding. All the while, Kouri Richins was more interested in spending time with Josh Grossman than Eric. She dreamed of living in the Midway Mansion with Josh, running it as an event center, farming and raising kids, Eric's kids. But she did not have the money to leave Eric or the money to salvage her business. Kouri Richins is an intensely ambitious person. She is a risk taker. There was a way forward. Eric had to die. As Judge Mrazek just instructed, there are 5 counts. And each count has a series of elements. The state has to prove each count and each element of each count beyond a reasonable doubt. That is our burden. In this closing, we will go count by count and then within each count, element by element, to show to you how the state
Okay, this is a good time to pause to talk about aggravated and the definition. So here they're saying that Kouri Richins intentionally or knowingly caused the death of Eric Richins under one or more of the following circumstances. So the definition for aggravated, anything, if they add aggravated onto any charge, it means that it made it more serious by the attendant circumstances. Is specifically heinous, it was such as like torture, or it's in the commission of another crime. So, like if you unalive someone during a robbery, um, or if it's multiple murder. So you unalive two people in your crime, or by some dangerous method, i.e., poisoning. So the two elements that they would have to prove or need to prove in this case is the pecuniary gain, which is financial gain, or
Mm-hmm.
that she administered a substance with a lethal dosage, which is the fentanyl in this case. So they would have needed to prove those two to make it aggravated murder. So
Okay.
I thought that was a good time to pause and explain that. And of course, the other things speak for itself. The insurance fraud, the insurance fraud, the two different insurance fraud charges, and the forgery that she signed his name without his permission.
All right.
Okay. Did you have a question before I go?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. Because he talks a long time.
It has met its burden of proving aggravated murder, attempted aggravated murder, 2 counts of fraud and forgery. That, again, is the reasonable doubt instruction that Judge Mrazek just read, and you will have back with you in the jury room. Judge Mrazek also read this instruction on what evidence is, and it's usually testimony and exhibits. To reiterate, what the attorneys say is not evidence. And as I asked you in opening, please focus on the evidence. Throughout this presentation, I generally use this format for slides. And so everybody understands where we are, the count, and then the element within the count is at the top in the red banner. We then quote some witness testimony, and we cite it, because it's the evidence that matters. So that you'll have the exhibits back with you when you deliberate, and you can reference them. Usually it's a transcript, page, line, number of the testimony. We also publish exhibits, and usually we'll have an exhibit number down here. If there's an exhibit, whatever, 2-5, so you can reference it. Let's begin with the aggravated murder count. The evidence will prove that Kouri Richins was the person who committed the aggravated murder. The evidence will prove that she intentionally or knowingly caused the death of Eric Richins, here by means of administering to him the illicit street drugs that she purchased from Carmen Lauber. She intended to kill him with the illicit street drugs. It doesn't matter what illicit street drugs. We'll get into it more. It doesn't matter if it was the propofol, if it was the fentanyl that actually killed him, if it was oxy or some other illicit street drugs. She bought illicit street drugs to kill Eric Richins. That's what matters. That's murder. These two elements are just murder. Right? If we hide this, that's a murder charge. Here we have an aggravated murder charge, and the state will prove 2 separate and distinct aggravators. The first is for pecuniary gain. This is a why aggravator. Why did Kouri Richins kill Eric? For money. The second aggravator is a how aggravator. How did she do it? Here, by the administration of any substance, here it happens to be fentanyl, but it could be any substance administered in a lethal amount. Either one of those aggravators are what transforms this case from a
lot of times prosecutors don't take the time to explain this way, and they just assume that the judge's instructions to the jury is enough. I really do like the
Mm-hmm.
fact that he broke this down this way. This is the why, this is the how, to let them know that this is why these things line up. I
All
really did
right.
like this. Even though it's long-winded, it was important for this case, especially a case that is so circumstantial. They didn't have, like I said, they didn't have the smoking gun. They didn't have the aha, she did it in the library with the
With
knife.
Col- with Colonel Mustard.
Right.
This would be the wrong time to ask this particular question. I just wrote it down because I was thinking of it. So I wonder if her book is even still for sale anyway. Like, one, I don't know who would want it, but secondly, if it is, do those proceeds automatically go to her children?
Golly, that's a good question. I don't know. I know that what I do know, based on recorded conversations that they have, is that it was for sale on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that was the only place, but I know that it was for sale on Amazon. So I'd be curious if it's still for sale. I mean, listen, if it's still for sale, people probably want it now because the
Yeah,
big,
that's always the way. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I would want it, but I too am kind of like you. I was like, I don't want her to get no money, but
Yeah.
I
I
don't
mean,
I
I
don't
just,
know that it would. I mean, how could it automatically go to the kids? I mean,
yeah, I,
because in some cases, in some states, you cannot profit off of your ill-gotten gains. So it's
right, right.
fruit of the poisonous tree. They won't allow you to make money off of it. So if it's still available, the money is going somewhere, but probably not to her. It's not like it's going to go to her books.
Do you know where her kids, where did the kids end up going?
So I believe in the beginning they were in like foster care, or the
Mm-hmm.
state's care. But I believe that they'll probably go to Eric's family now because
Mm-hmm.
they have the trust, they have the money, they have the things. So his family will probably end up raising the boy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I
Right.
that's what I believe. But that was a good question. Okay, we can continue. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit.
I have to check my phone. It could drop me again. I'm sorry,
It's
but I
okay.
have to. Okay.
Robert Crozier, digital forensics, we'll get into it, all confirm that Kouri Richins ordered and received illicit street drugs, and that those street drugs contained fentanyl. Illicit street drugs is all that matters. But you heard the testimony that despite confusion in what people were ordering, people were getting fentanyl. The fake M30s looked like the real, the fake M30s looked like the real M30s. Everything on the street in early 2022 had fentanyl. That's how we know that it was this purchase that ended up killing Eric. It's the fentanyl. We can trace the fentanyl. Next slide. The digital forensics corroborate Carmen Lauber's testimony that 5 days before Kouri Richins murdered Eric Richins, Carmen Lauber purchased for Kouri Richins fentanyl from Robert Crozier at the Maverick in Draper. The call detail records show an extraordinary amount of overlapping communication between Carmen Lauber, Kouri Richins, Carmen Lauber, Robert Crozier during that time. We, of course, don't have the communications. Carmen Lauber deleted them because they were evidence of a drug deal. Kouri Richins deleted them because they were evidence of a drug deal and a murder.
It's no longer.
Robert Crozier said he had lost his phone. But that's an extraordinary number of communications. We know that Kouri Richins, the evidence proves that Kouri Richins used a Moscow Mule and a shot to administer the fentanyl to Eric.
In her own handwriting.
She writes it in her orange notebook where she journals what happened the night she murdered Eric. It's a self-serving journal. We'll discuss that down the road.
So I'm pausing again. So I was listening to another podcast. I told you that I follow an attorney, and he and his father feel that this orange notebook journaling is not fair to use because they say a lot of attorneys ask their client to write down what happened, like how they remember it. So, because you, as time goes on, you forget the details, right? And so they was like, this could simply have been her writing down everything so she could discuss it with her attorney. Now, none of the attorneys, I don't recall them ever arguing that that was the case, but these attorneys were not her attorneys in the beginning. She had another attorney in the beginning. So I do kind of have a question in my mind, like, are you that out of it that you would like journal what you did, or are you just trying to jot down the details to discuss with your legal counsel? Like I don't know that I
Yeah.
wonder about that one. We might be like really reaching on that one, but also the way she writes it is kind of like, it was almost like she was telling a story, like it wasn't actually her. Like if you were writing a book, it was kind of like that. Anyway.
I have questions. I'm just not sure how to.
But she wrote Moscow Mule and a lemon drop shot. And that is consistent with all the toxicology. Again, in the notes that investigators recovered from the kitchen cabinet in Kouri Richins' home, she wrote Moscow Mules. Lemon water, vodka, and rum.
What's the ingredient?
She left out the main ingredient, which of course is the ginger beer. But there was ginger beer. We know that from the Cock and Bull that OME investigator Cam Sessions found in the trash can in the kitchen.
I thought the main ingredient was the fentanyl.
It's
That's what I was
interesting that
thinking,
Kouri Richins
but-
wrote vodka, in parentheses, rum.
How'd you ruin a Moscow Mule with
The evidence
rum?
may show that the Moscow Mule she made that night was ginger beer and fentanyl. The lemon drop shot, maybe lemon and fentanyl.
You made that up. We don't
Notice
know.
that here she writes drink in bed. We'll come back to that in a minute. The Cock and Bull, as I mentioned, corroborates at least the Moscow Mule. And that we know the cause of death from the death certificate was fentanyl. The fentanyl and the illicit street drugs that Kouri Richins got from Carmen Lauber, who got from Robert Crozier. We know that Eric ingested the fentanyl from the Moscow Mule, the lemon drop shop, or both. Medical examiner Dr. Pamela Ulmer, toxicologist Brianna Peterson, chief medical examiner Dr. Eric Christensen, all testified that the 20,000 nanograms per milliliter of fentanyl, an extraordinary amount, in his stomach indicates oral ingestion. Indeed, Dr. Christensen not only testified to it, he told Kouri Richins that in their phone call that she recorded. Ms. Peterson's testimony, as well as Dr. Christensen, also proves that the fentanyl was illicit. Again, illicit, coming from the street, illegal street drug, illicit fentanyl. And it was their testimony, right, was that there was not only fentanyl in the toxicology, but there was norfentanyl, which was a marker of an illicit fentanyl. There's also acetyl fentanyl as well. But it's the norfentanyl that is a marker of illicit fentanyl, which completely tracks with how Kouri Richins got the illicit street drugs. We also know that Kouri Richins intended to kill Eric Richins because the toxicology contained quetiapine.
Your Honor, we may have lost the audio. Let's reset. My apologies.
We lost the audio. I just lost the audio. I want you to pay attention to this part though. Because I think about to play this phone call when she called the medical examiner to go over the final report, and the quetiapine was her prescription. So watch how she tries to act like she doesn't know how to pronounce it.
Is an antipsychotic medication.
Last one. What is quetiapine? Quetiapine?
Quetiapine is an antipsychotic medication. It's called Seroquel.
Okay.
It's a
Really, what is it?
prescription
It's her
medication
prescription.
that's prescribed for different things.
I got you.
The quetiapine in the toxicology for Eric Richins shows that Kouri Richins was involved because she was prescribed quetiapine. Now, this conversation that she recorded with Dr. Christensen is also very insightful. She pretends to not know what quetiapine is. It's her prescription. Of course she knows what it is. She pretends to not know what it is to cover
You see
up
how she looked at him?
her involvement in putting the quetiapine inside Eric's body.
Why did she do that?
She feigns the ignorance.
I don't know, but she looked at him like, if I wasn't going to prison, I'd invite you over for a drink right now.
She covers up her conduct in murdering Eric Richins in several ways throughout, beginning the night she murdered him, all the way through the walk the dog letter. In the orange notebook, she writes, she jumped out of bed, ran, turned on the lights, grabbed her phone, and called 911. The evidence proves that is not true. The evidence proves that when she returned to their bedroom, Kouri Richins says she was in Ashton's room. There's no evidence of that. But she returned from somewhere to their bedroom, unlocked her phone, put it on speaker. There's no call detail records showing a call at that time. But she may have called on Wi-Fi, somebody. That would not appear in the call detail records. It would appear on her phone if her phone had not been deleted.
Objection, Your Honor. These are facts that are not.
Please have a seat.
She then unlocked her phone again at 3:08,
Oh, please have a
3:15, 3:19, 3:19.
Judge, but sick of her.
And then 15 minutes later, she called 911. That is not immediately called 911. Perhaps she was staging the scene during these 15 minutes. We're going to discuss the 911 call in a minute. This is a receiver activation. At 3:22:12, when we're in the 911 call, she's on receiver on her phone. The 911 call operator asks,
Did you know that they could tell whether you're on receiver or speaker?
I had no idea. I mean, we know now.
When
I
I was
didn't.
listening to this, I was like, what?
They can tell so much.
You can tell so much. So he's saying she's telling the 911 operator that she has a phone on speaker, but it's on receiver. How do they know that? That is crazy. Don't do anything on your phone, people.
are you on speakerphone? She says yes. No. She's on receiver. Before we play this, sorry. We're going to listen to the first part, actually most of the 911 call again. I ask that as you listen to it, you'll hear the first minute. The first minute is not the sound of a wife becoming a widow. To echo her friend Chelsea Barney, the first minute is the sound of a wife becoming a black widow. Listen to how Kouri Richins, on the 911 call, immediately presents, very soon after the call begins, presents her alibi narrative.
Right.
Listen to how she tells the 911 dispatcher where she was when Eric died. She is distancing herself. Rather than, he's not breathing, he has no pulse, I have to figure out what to do, I need help, she's saying, hey, look, I was not there, I was in my son's room. That's her alibi. She's distancing herself from the time and the place that she murdered Eric. The 911 call operator asks her to perform CPR. Notice how she distances herself from that. No, I don't know how. No, he's too heavy. No, I can't move him. She is not immediately trying to revive him. We're going to run a clock from the time that the dispatcher asks her if she can start CPR to the time she purportedly starts it. It's 6 minutes.
That is damn.
Listen, please, to the portion of the 911 call where the operator instructs Kouri Richins how to remove Eric from the bed. Listen how the dispatcher says, move to the side of the bed. Kouri Richins says she does. Remove the pillows, pull the arm, pull the leg, lift up the sheet, pull him off. If Kouri Richins is following the instructions of the 911 dispatcher, Eric Richins' body is on the floor on the side of the bed, not the foot of the bed where it was found. Listen also to her choice of language. She has dehumanized Eric Richins. When she is talking about removing Eric from the bed and she is protesting and she is saying she cannot, she is not saying, I can't move him. She is saying, I can't move it. Eric is no longer a him to him. She murdered Eric. Eric is an it. Finally, listen to when she says she is performing CPR and the phone is on speaker. The phone's not on speaker. Determine whether she's performing CPR. Okay.
My husband's not breathing. He's cold. Okay, what's the address? 282 Willow Court. 282 Willow Court? Uh-huh. Okay, what's a good phone number in case we get disconnected? 435-671-1987. Okay, it's going to be in Francis? Uh-huh. Okay, tell me exactly what happened. I don't know. I just came in. I was sleeping with my kids. Okay, I can't understand you. I need you to take a deep breath. What's going on? I don't know. I was sleeping in with my kids. I just came in the bed, in our bed, and I turned over, and he's just cold. He's just cold. Who's cold? My husband. I turned the light off. And he's not breathing? No. He's not breathing? No. I need you to confirm it for me. Is he not breathing? No. Okay, can you do CPR? No, I don't know how. You don't know? I'm going to tell you how to. Are you willing to do CPR? Yeah. Okay. If there's a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it. No, there's not. Available? Okay. I'm sending the paramedics to help you now. Stay on the line and I'll tell you exactly what to do next, okay? Okay, are you right by your husband right now? Yeah, he's so pale. His mouth is open. Okay, listen carefully. Are you able to lay him on the floor or the ground? On the ground? I can't. I'm just thinking. I can't touch him. I can't. You can do it. You can do it. You need to calm down. Okay? Yellow. We need to help him. I can guide you through CPR. Take a deep breath for me. I'm here with you. He doesn't have a pulse. He doesn't have a pulse. No. There's no pulse. Okay, I'm here with you. I'm here with you. We need to get him help. If you need to put me on speaker, put me on speaker. I'm gonna guide you through CPR, okay? Okay. Tell me when you've done that. Okay, I'm ready. You're ready? Okay, he's on the floor? He's on the bed. Okay, are you able by any chance to move him on the floor? Let me check. I don't know what's happening. I'm here with you. You're not able to move him to the floor? Go out. Don't come in here. Oh my God, my sister. You're not able to move him to the floor? Just listen carefully. We just need to get him on the floor. Don't worry about hurting them. No, he's just heavy. Is he still on the bed? Yes. Okay, if there's a sheet or a blanket under them, can you loosen it from the mattress? Yes. Okay, stand at the side of the bed closest to them and remove anything under their head. Okay. Okay. I need you to pull the sheets towards you and slide them off the bed. Don't worry about him falling. We just need to help him now. Okay. Tell me when he's on the floor.
No sense of urgency whatsoever.
I can't move it. It's just dead weight. Like it's just... You're not. If he has sheets under, pull them to the floor. Don't worry about hurting him. Can you please send somebody? Okay, I have the ambulance that's on the way. Okay, there's another way to do this, okay? Grab their feet. Grab his feet. Slide them towards you until they're just off the bed. Okay. How old is your husband? 39. 39? Yeah. Okay. Okay, were you able to pull his feet off the bed? And pulling. Okay, now grab the arm closest to you and pull the rest of the way off the bed. Again, don't worry about the fall. We just need to help them now. I have the ambulance on the way. I just need you to do this, okay, so we can get the help for him. Okay. When they arrive, they'll take over. We just need to start CPR now. You are doing great, okay? I just need you to get him on the floor. Okay, he's on the floor. You got him on the floor? Yeah. Okay, listen carefully, okay? Make sure that there's nothing under his head. Is he laying flat on his back? Yeah. Okay. Okay, just listen carefully and I'll tell you how to do chest compressions, okay? Okay. Place the heel of your hand on the breastbone, which is in the center of the chest, right between the nipples. Okay. Put your other hand on top of that hand. Okay. Okay. Start pumping the chest hard and fast, at least twice per second, and 2 inches deep. Okay. Okay. Start counting out loud so I can count with you. Okay. We're gonna count 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Let me know when you're ready. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, 2, 3, 4. Count out loud so I can hear you. I'm counting with you. 1, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1,
I don't
2,
hear her at
3,
all.
4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. If it's easier for you, am I on speaker?
Yes.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you know the front door is open?
No, it's locked.
It's, are you? I need you to go. Is there anybody else within the home, or is it just you?
It's all my kids.
Okay. Are one of them old enough to go and lock the door?
Yeah, it's unlocked.
It's unlocked now.
Yeah, he's here.
Doesn't unlock.
Okay.
Because she wasn't performance, y'all. Walked out and wouldn't open the door.
Nathan,
Literally right outside my bedroom door is the front door. Unlocked.
Yeah, it's
the protesting.
now it's open. Yeah.
There was part of a 6-minute delay in Kouri Richins performing CPR. I can't move it. It is just dead weight. Contrast that 911 call with her self-serving text message to her best friend, Chelsea Barney. I tried so fucking hard to save him, his lifeless body on my bedroom floor. I pumped so damn hard, so hard, screaming at him to come back to life, that I needed him.
She said none of that.
None of that happened. She's covering up her involvement
Oh my
in murdering
God.
Kouri Richins. Recall the alibi narrative at the beginning of the 911 call. Her letting the 911 operator and everyone know that she was not with Eric when he died. I was somewhere else. I was
I'm gonna
distant in place and time.
do this part because he's just reiterating
Um,
what was said. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so you noticed like I couldn't, so if that was truly an accident or whatever the case was, and I found my person laying there, uh first off, if I hear that in court again, how am I not gonna even be emotional then?
I would
Zero, right?
try
Zero emotions for that. Zero emotions anytime you,
take you right back to that.
yes. Yes.
My
And if you
God.
were working that hard, and I'll say, I have given CPR and you're working
It's hard.
hard. And so like I would almost be screwed because for me, I can turn on healthcare person and automatically I'm like, okay, boom, I know what I got to do. And here I go. And I'm going to try. And then afterwards, I could see where those emotions were released. But like, even anytime you've shown her, she's never had any emotions. So how are, oh yeah, I didn't do that. I loved him. I needed him, but no emotions ever. I
She's
would be fighting for my life. Like,
she's telling her best friend, I tried so hard. I was screaming at him to come back to me.
yes.
None of that happened.
If she was working that hard, she would have been out of breath with that person.
She would have been, first of all, I can tell you right now, my call wouldn't sound like that. They wouldn't be able to understand me, but it wouldn't be because I was,
No.
I would
And
be
even
hysterical. I would have been screaming. I probably would have been running through the house. I'd be waking up already. I would have been freaking out.
right. And even if I didn't know what to do as far as getting him flat on the floor and you told me to, I'd be like, okay, cool, I got you. My adrenaline should help me to pull him down on the floor.
Now, I'm a creepy kind of person, okay? I get the creepy crawlies. If you go limp in my hands, my knees gonna go weak. I'm telling you, I already know that. But
Okay.
I often think if it's my person that I sleep next to every night, that I love, that I do need, I can't imagine that I wouldn't touch him.
Yeah, this is my kids' father.
And they in the next room.
Yeah.
Wake up! Like I would have been freaking out. Those kids would have been in the room a long time before when she was like, "Get out, get out, get out." They would have. You would have heard the kids in the background because it would have been crazy in my house.
Mm-hmm.
It's no way I would have been whispering. I would have been going crazy. Already, my mama, everybody would have been on the damn way. Somebody got to come get these kids because I need to save my husband. I cannot feel any urgency in her. I don't feel any sadness in her. I just feel like she was just biding time. She just kept saying, "Can you send somebody? Like, come get this garbage."
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say, like, just come get them.
I wonder if her book says that, like, if in the event that you have to do CPR, keep quiet so the kids don't know.
I don't know. We probably never know now. How can we get a copy of this daggone book? I gotta find this book. I gotta find it. Okay, hold on. I want to
No.
go to
Oh shoot.
right before. I mean, he's at it for quite some time, but when he is done here, okay.
Thing that he did. There's no evidence of that. Defense counsel said that the evidence would show investigators interviewed Kouri over and over and over again about what happened the night that Eric died. There's no evidence of that. Defense counsel said that the evidence would show that law enforcement secretly recorded Kouri Richins' phone conversations for over a year after Eric died. There's no evidence of that, and indeed contrary evidence. Defense counsel said that you will hear Kouri Richins telling her family that she purchased pain pills for Eric at his request. You did not hear that, although she did write it in the Walk the Dog letter 4 months after she was arrested. In listening to defense counsel's closing argument, please only consider the evidence that has been admitted.
Ms. Lewis.
Your Honor, could we address something outside the presence of the jury before
Of course.
we start?
Folks, let's give you an opportunity to stretch your legs, use the restroom.
They're
Please rise for the
asking
jury.
to address something outside of the presence of the jury. But the jury is in the room. Right.
Use the restroom. Please rise for the jury.
Okay, I think we do want it now, if we can get one now.
Let's hash that out for a second. What I proposed was an instruction that
I'm sorry.
the jury may rely
Hold on, let me go back. I skipped ahead too far.
Mr. Glover. Use the restroom. Please rise for the jury.
Let me just be patient. I'm screwing it up.
Have a seat.
Your Honor, at this point, we'd like to make a motion for mistrial and make a proffer on it. First of all, at multiple points in the prosecution's closing, he made efforts to dehumanize the defendant, in fact, calling her a black widow, comparing her to a deadly spider, calling her a narcissist when there's been no evidence introduced to support that, no expert testimony, nothing of the nature. Furthermore, it's completely improper for the prosecution to comment on her demeanor while she sat at counsel table. That's a comment on her failure to testify. Asking the jury to take into consideration facial expressions, which in his opinion may or may not have happened. I don't know what he's basing that on, but it's improper, and it's our suggestion that is a comment on her failure to testify by revealing what her response to testimony was, is calling upon her to testify in this case. Furthermore, in the closing, there was wild speculation on what was in Kouri Richins' mind, completely made up by Mr. Bloodworth with no evidence whatsoever to support it. Also, Mr. Bloodworth wrongly told the jury that giving any illicit street drugs to Mr. Richins was sufficient to support aggravated murder. That, in fact, is not true. The only drug that would support aggravated murder would be fentanyl. What he said to the contrary is not consistent with the court's instructions, and we would ask that that be corrected with a curative instruction. That they should follow the court's instructions on what it takes. It would not be sufficient if she bought some other type of drug that did not cause his death. That's just not the law. Let's see, just a moment. I think that's it, Your Honor.
Mr. Bloodworth? Forgive me, I need a little bit more detail as I go through these.
Yeah.
Which of these do you want a curative instruction regarding, and which of these are you moving for a mistrial on?
I'm moving for mistrial on all of it, Your Honor. The curative instruction, I think, is required by the wrongful information that giving him any illicit street drug is sufficient to support aggravated murder. That's just not true. And that's super important, because if they do believe that, there is evidence to make a finding that there was oxycodone. And there was no oxycodone found in his body. So that can't support a conviction. So that's what I think requires the curative instruction. The rest of it, I don't know any way you can cure it, Your Honor.
The Utah Court of Appeals disagrees with you regarding the prosecutor's comments. A long line of cases talk about the potential prejudicial effect of an improper comment by a prosecutor only being able to be measured after the defense gives its closing and the state gives its rebuttal, and we consider any curative instructions. What's your alternative position there? I could, for example, instruct the jury that Mr. Bloodworth's observations of Ms. Richins' demeanor are not evidence, and they were to rely on their observations of Ms. Richins, if any, only.
I just don't even think that her demeanor is proper to rely upon, because she didn't
Certainly
testify.
can be. I mean, she burst out in laughter during the showing of the decedent's body. I don't think it would be appropriate for me to tell the jury you can't possibly consider that.
I'm sorry, but I have no idea what you're talking about. I totally trust you, but I have no recollection of any laughter when his body was shown.
No, it was a hypothetical, Ms. Nestor.
Oh,
to
thank
probe
goodness.
the bounds of your categorical statement that the jury can never consider the defendant's demeanor.
I'm sorry. I thought you were saying she did that, and I was just horrified.
Please
so.
stay focused.
But I am focused. I just misheard you. I mean, is what you're asking me is, do we want a curative instruction now? Do we want to wait until later? Is that what the court is asking?
Right.
Court's indulgence for just a moment. Okay, I think we do want it now, if we can get one now.
Let's hash that out for a second. What I proposed was an instruction that the jury may rely on their own observations, if any, of Ms. Richins' demeanor in trial, but they cannot rely on counsel's statements regarding what Ms. Richins' demeanor was. I want to be clear, there were no comments regarding her silence.
Well, I mean, it's our position that when you comment on how she looked while she remained silent at counsel table, that is a comment on her silence in our estimation. But I agree that he didn't say anything specifically about silence. And that instruction would be preferable to no instruction, I think.
Okay. And then the Black Widow comment was connected to comments that were made by Chelsea Barney, correct?
They came out of his mouth in closing.
And he specifically referenced Chelsea Barney's testimony. Is it your position that Chelsea Barney never used that phrase or words?
I don't recall her saying that, but it's been a long trial, and I would not want to make that I 1,000% am sure, but I certainly don't recall that.
It was in the recorded phone call with Bryce Knutson.
And then everybody is speculating as to defendant's state of mind. It's one of the factual issues that the jury will have to determine according to circumstantial evidence, because as we instruct them, there's no direct evidence of what's in her mind. Why was anything that Mr. Bloodworth said regarding the inferences that can be drawn regarding her state of mind inappropriate?
Because they were made up out of whole cloth with no evidence to back it up.
You're going to have to be more specific.
So he went to great lengths to fantasize about what she was thinking about when there's been no evidence to that. He could have certainly said, look, she could have been thinking this, she could have been thinking that. He didn't. He gave them what was in her mind, which is just based on things he made up in his own head, not based on evidence.
Why aren't they all based on his view of the evidence that came in at trial? Was there any references to evidence that did not come in?
Well, first of all, calling her a narcissist, I mean, that didn't come in. There was no testimony that she's ever been diagnosed to have a narcissistic personality disorder. There's no evidence at all about her mental condition. And then when he talked about her putting the reasoning why she picked certain days to get more attention, nothing about that has ever come in to play, ever. I mean, that's just one of many. He went through lots of scenarios about what she was thinking as if it was a fact, and it wasn't. So, I mean, I think he can encourage the jury to use circumstantial evidence to try to reach their own conclusions, but he can't say this was in her mind when he doesn't know.
Okay. Anything else?
I think that's it, Your Honor.
Mr. Blevins, go ahead.
They fighting hard for her.
Your Honor, were there any particular points that defense counsel raised that remain unresolved in the court's mind?
Any objection to the proposed instruction regarding the jury must rely on their own observations, if any, of defendant's demeanor, but cannot consider counsel's statements regarding her demeanor?
No objection.
Okay. And then the statement regarding giving any kind of illicit street drug is sufficient to show the murder count. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about that. I did catch that comment. They're not making that one up. Now, there was more, and in the total course of the state's initial opening, I think you made it clear that you were encouraging the jury to make specific findings beyond a reasonable doubt regarding each required element. Mm-hmm. There was that initial comment, though, I don't think, an instruction regarding having trouble crafting a curative instruction that doesn't just give a theory of the case. What's your view of this?
Your Honor, I don't think anything needs to be cured. The state does not have to prove that the defendant intended to murder Eric Richins with fentanyl.
True.
The state only needs to prove that the defendant intended to murder him with the illicit street drugs that she purchased from Carmen Lauber.
And that they contained fentanyl. Yeah.
Well, on the second element or the aggravator? Because there's a distinction there.
I think on both. She has to actually knowingly or intentionally cause the death for count one. So if she buys something that she thinks is OxyContin,
correct,
and intends the giving of the OxyContin to kill him, and it turns out that what she got was blue M30s that had fentanyl and it killed him, the difference between aggravated murder and murder is irrelevant. She has committed an aggravated murder. The distinction, I think, that I acknowledge is that she doesn't have to intend to kill him with fentanyl. She has to intend to kill him with poison. Even if she thought she was getting one and got the other.
Correct.
As long as it worked, she committed the crime.
Correct. And I think that's what I said throughout.
I think that is the weight of the argument overall that you made.
If there's a particular sentence I said that is different than that, then I agree we should cure it. But I don't think I said anything different than that.
On this one, Ms. Nestor, I think the better course, rather than for the court to insert itself at this point, is to allow the rest of closing to play out, and we can readdress this issue at the end.
Okay.
I expect that this issue will get teased out in detail through Ms. Lewis's closing and the state's rebuttal. Give me a moment to collect my thoughts regarding the others. Okay. All right, thank you. Court will be in recess until... Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, can I just maybe say one thing?
Yes, please.
The state did not refer to the defendant as a narcissist. The state said that that was a narcissistic injury.
Right, I got it. Okay, I'll be back. 11:40, please. We'll be in recess. All right.
Okay, they tried it, but no mas. So they took a lunch break and they come back to the defense's. I'm sorry.
When she wakes up, she goes back to her room. Eric appears to be asleep. We don't know for sure what happens over the next 15 minutes or so. The state asks you to leap to conclusions about what she was doing during that time. Yet they have not shown you any evidence of this. They just tell you to believe it. But what does reason tell you? She gets up. She goes to the bathroom. She picks up her phone. We all pick up our phone all the time. Been away from it for an hour or two. She goes to the bathroom. Maybe she walks to the kitchen. Maybe she gets a drink of water. Maybe she lets out the dog. And then she goes back to her bedroom, phone probably in hand, gets into the bed next to her husband, again, realizes he's cold, pulls up the blanket, realizes something's wrong, and turns on the light. It probably takes a moment or two for her brain to register what she's seen. And then she makes that call that nobody ever wants to make. She calls 911. A big part of this state's case is that Ms. Richins is not grieving properly. You heard this from a couple of different witnesses, 2 or 3. What does that mean? I was unexpectedly widowed when I was not much older than Kouri, and I had 2 little boys. How do you judge someone in that moment? If I've learned one thing during this trial, I've learned I didn't grieve right. I didn't know that, but it's clear now that I didn't. They want you to look at a woman in the worst moment of her life and to judge her grief. There is no wrong way to grieve. They're asking you to judge how she is acting at that moment and then use that moment of evidence of guilt. In the opening, we pointed out, and quick, go ahead and put it on that the state looks at facts one way and sees a witch. But if you look at those facts another way, you see a widow. Here's an example. Hands over her face, curled up. A witch, hiding because she's done something wrong, or a widow, hiding and blocking out what has just happened to her, what has just happened to her children, what has just happened to her family and to her life. Look familiar? Portrayals of women grieving in art. Portrayals of women in grief. The state tells you during evidence that, oh, she didn't immediately talk to Gene Richins when he came to the house because she felt so guilty she couldn't talk to him. Or was it because she didn't want to tell a father his son had died? Oh, she didn't tell the boys when she should have. It was weird. She didn't go talk to them. They were in the playroom. Again, because she felt guilty, or because she was dreading the most difficult conversation, the conversation nobody, no mother ever wants to have with her young sons. Their father is dead. The father that everyone agrees was a wonderful father is gone, and she has to tell those little boys, you're never going to see him again. Believe me, that conversation may be the worst moment in a mother's life. How can a woman be judged on how she handles that moment? You heard her friend Allie staking. When Allie arrived at the home that day, she said Kouri was clearly upset. She said she was distraught. This is someone who's known her since junior high, not an officer who met her 5 minutes ago. She said Kouri was acting as you would expect. That night, friends came over to talk about Eric, to drink to Eric. A wake is what the Irish call it. The state wants you to leap to the conclusion that night, Kouri was celebrating Eric's death. You heard Allie stalking. They were celebrating Eric's life. They kept it light for the boys. They were dancing, they were smiling. All of them were, even Eric's sister. Can we not smile in our grief? They want to tell you no. But reason and experience tells you differently. Let's talk about the investigation. The investigation in this matter was nothing but sloppy. It was driven by bias. Did you notice during the state's closing they didn't really even talk about the investigation? Instead, they speculated. What was in people's heads? What were they thinking? Speculation, conjecture, not proof. Instead of looking at the evidence to determine what happened, the state they determined what happened, and then they found the evidence to support it. This is confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is when you favor evidence that supports a belief and ignore evidence that contradicts it. That is how this entire case was investigated, working backwards from a conclusion. It started on March 4th. Detective Woody, before she's even entered the home, Amy Richin tells her they think Kouri is somehow involved. Then both Katie and Amy Richins tell Detective Woody they think this is because she recently found out about a trust Eric created. Immediately, this influenced this investigation. But what happened that first day? They found nothing to support foul play. Kouri tells them he was a user of THC gummies, that maybe he used one that night. They never ask where the gummies are. They do a cursory search of the bedroom and bathroom. They admit that they don't look in places where the gummies were found a month later, high up in the bathroom, high above the refrigerator, high up in the laundry room, somewhere in a pocket of either Kouri or Eric's jacket in a closet. All places where they would have been put out of reach of children. But they didn't find any of them that day. You know what else they didn't do? They didn't secure the scene. They moved things around. They told you they didn't have probable cause to search the whole house. We couldn't search the whole house. All we could do was look in the bedroom and the bathroom. But they could have asked for consent. Kouri gave them consent when they asked to search one place outside of the bedroom. The entire house could have been searched that day, but they didn't do it. They didn't even ask. What else happens that morning? Officer Nguyen, he does his death checklist. He says, did he have any history of prescription abuse? Did he have any history of illicit drug use? And what does Kouri tell him? No. How easy would it have been to just say yes? If she had just killed him with illicit drugs, why in the name of God did she just not say yes? Had she said yes, we probably wouldn't all be sitting here today. She didn't say yes because she did not know how he had died.
She didn't say yes because his sister was there. And the sister would have been like, what are you talking about? My brother doesn't do drugs. That's why she didn't say yes. Come on. This is too much of a stretch. I'm going to fast forward a little bit because we can't listen to this whole thing. But I did want y'all to see this. I thought that this was so insensitive. Why, why would you put this card up? Why? This card goes with a game. And this is not a game. This is a man's life that was lost. And I just thought it was so insensitive to use this, even though we all know that in the interviews with Carmen, the investigators told her that this is her get out of jail free card. We know they said that, but we didn't need this visual. And they put it up more than one time. Okay. They just keep putting it up. Just ridiculous. But anyway.
And the details that will ensure Kouri gets convicted of murder. You heard that from O'Driscoll's own mouth. He tried to explain it away. But he went in and he told this woman, get out of jail free card, give us the details to ensure Kouri gets convicted of murder. She had to tell them that. She had to tell you that. She had to say she purchased fentanyl. The detectives walked into those interviews not to find out what happened, but to get Ms. Lauber to confirm what they already had decided happened. Again, confirmation bias. She told them at that first interview, I literally never dealt with fentanyl. And she had reason not to deal with fentanyl. She told you that. She had a daughter who had overdosed from fentanyl. She was afraid of fentanyl. She told them that Kouri asked for something for an investor's bad back. Maybe it was for Eric. But she told them that Kouri asked for an investor's bad back. And that later she asked for something stronger. She asked for the Michael Jackson drug. She told them Kouri never asked for fentanyl. She admitted that she got the word fentanyl from Detectives O'Driscoll and Maynard. She told them she couldn't remember. She asked them to lay it out for her, to put the pieces of the puzzle together, to write it down, and I'll sign it. They argued that was because, well, she didn't want to write it in her cell. That's why they wanted us to write it. Well, she could have written it right there at the table, I suppose. But you know what else? Remember? She also told the assistant United States attorney basically the same thing. Put it together for me. And the U.S. attorney, or the assistant U.S. attorney, said, oh, we don't do it that way. You have to tell us what you remember. They literally offered a big, giant get-out-of-jail-free card. In the state's last question to Detective O'Driscoll, they brought up the TV show The House of Cards, but who held all of the cards in this case? Jeff O'Driscoll told you. Carmen Lauber held all of the cards. Their entire house of cards is being held up by her. And now at trial 3 years later, She comes in here and says she bought oxycodone once and fentanyl 3 times. Oh, she had her story down. She told it very nicely on direct. But when pressed, she couldn't remember anything. Not from 2022, not from 2023. She couldn't remember on Friday what she testified to on Thursday. And I didn't ask her about her mental health or her learning disability to be mean. I asked her because it explains why she was so easily convinced by law enforcement as to what she needed to do and what she needed to say. She described her learning disability as low education. Well, you can decide what that means for yourself, but one possibility is she has an intellectual disability. And if that is the case, she is more vulnerable to suggestibility than most people. Easy to manipulate. And they took advantage of this. We all saw it. They did too, but they had to find someone who would confirm their theory. But you know what? Through all of this, there were a handful of things that Carmen Lauber was consistent about. There were a few. Kouri asked for some pain medication. Kouri said that in the Walk the Dog letter. Then she told you, I brought oxycodone from Susan Kohler on February 11th. Prescription oxycodone. Now that's important because if Kouri had any pain pills before February 14th, these were likely what she had. She said Kouri never asked for fentanyl. She said that in all of her interviews. Carmen never asked Robert Crozier for fentanyl. She said that. She was consistent with that. She bought pills from Robert Crozier. That the pills she got from him were light green, 15 to 20 milligram oxycodone pills. When she bought from him again, she asked for more of the same. Those are the things she said throughout. Everything she said, every other thing she said has changed multiple times. It changed again while she was on the stand. Now she says the number of purchases were more. That changed. The date changed. For the first time, she says that Crozier was the first one to say the word fentanyl. It's the first time we've heard that. Wasn't in the interviews. She's not a truthful person. There were a couple of little things she lied on the stand about. Not super important, but I'm going to point them out because they were just untruths. When I asked her if she was on any medication for her anxiety or any other illnesses, she said no. But then later, when Mr. Bloodworth asked her, she said yes, she was on medications. They were in her car in her purse. She told you Nancy Peterson drove to buy the drugs because she didn't have a driver's license. When we showed her that photo was reversed and that she was driving, did you notice how smoothly that story changed? Oh, well, yeah, I drove one way, she drove the other. By the way, where's Nancy Peterson? There was someone who might have been able to confirm Carmen's story, but we didn't hear from her. What else did Carmen lie about? She said on that stand, and she told you, I never violated drug court after I got out, my get out of jail free card in May of 2023. But then when confronted, she had to admit, oh yeah, I did. That's right. She told you, well, I was holding a can of alcohol, but I didn't drink it. When confronted, though, she had to admit that wasn't true. She said on the stand, and she told you that. Oh, I just held it. Oh, but you told your probation officer you drank it? Oh, yeah, I guess I drank it. But what's the most important thing she admitted to lying to? She lied to a judge. She lied to a judge by writing a letter saying that she had been 100% compliant with drug court. And why did she lie to that judge? She wanted to go to Vegas. And she told you on the stand, she admitted it. Yeah, I was untruthful with the judge to get something that I wanted. She was untruthful because she wanted to go to Vegas. There is a lot more at stake here than going to Vegas. She is, again, being untruthful to get what she wants. And what she wants this time is to stay out of prison. And she will say whatever she needs to make that happen. You know what else she got by telling that story in addition to her get out of jail free card? She also got an advance straight to go and pass drug court on the way card. No more showing up at drug court. And she told you drug court's tough, but she didn't have to go anymore. No regular check-ins. She just had to text hi or Lauber to Detective Maynard. And most importantly, no more drug tests. She's still on probation. Still waiting to go to court, see if her charges will be dismissed. And she's not being drug tested. Is she telling you the truth about being clean? We have absolutely no way to know. She got everything she wanted by testifying to things that she admitted she had no memory of. Can you feel for Carmen Lauber? You can. Can you believe her beyond a reasonable doubt? You cannot. And if you can't believe her beyond a reasonable doubt, you have to find Kouri Richins not guilty.
Okay, I'm going to fast forward a little bit more because I want to get to Kouri, this is this one little part where Kouri makes this face that I need y'all to see, and I hope I don't miss it.
Tell Ronnie to keep the story short so that he does not mess it up. Since his conversation with Eric never happened, tell him that it was only 2 minutes long. Ronnie needs to do this so that I do not get convicted. I can then extract revenge on Eric's sisters. Remember, I just made this story up, so my lawyer does not know it yet. All the evidence in this case proves that Kouri Richins murdered her husband and the father of her 3 children, Eric Richins. There is no other rational explanation for the evidence. And despite all the evidence, Kouri Richins clings to the facade that has enabled her to get away with so much for so long. And despite all the evidence, Kouri Richins doubles down and blames Eric. She is intensely ambitious. See through her facade, check her ambition, do not let her get away with murder.
All right. Next step. Brittany, if you would please swear in the bailiffs that will watch over the jury during deliberations.
If y'all raise your right hand.
Okay. So I want to touch on a couple of things before we go to the before we start discussing the juror interview. The jury foreperson, she gave an exclusive interview to Good Morning America, and I'm going to play that in a minute. It's short, it's just 3 minutes, but I'm going to play that for you guys. I thought that both sides argued well in closing. And I told you guys that I thought that the defense did all that they could. They basically chipped away at the testimonies of the people that were the main witnesses that they could attack their credibility. And Carmen was somebody they could easily attack because of her usage over the years. She had admitted that she has memory issues and most things are in a cloud, right? But it's not that Carmen is a liar and can't be believed. And it's not even that they told her what the story was. Once they showed her phone usage, her text messages, and showed how it lined up with the GPS data locations, she couldn't deny what was right there in front of her. And Carmen was really upset about that because she said on that stand she loved Eric. And if she had anything to do with it, she wanted to tell the absolute truth so that no one would get away, even if that meant she had to do time as well. She said that in her interview. So they're trying to make it seem like, oh, she was just trying to get out of jail free. I'm sure she do want to get out of jail free, and I'm sure she do want to try to start her life over. But to imply that she's not clean, you don't know if she's clean. She says she was clean. But to try to slide that in there by saying that she hasn't been drug tested. I mean, she hasn't been drug tested. That is true. But, you know, they're doing everything to attack her character. And it's unfortunate. But fortunately, the jury saw right through that. In less than 3 hours, they had come up with a guilty verdict on all counts. Also, if you were late, I did give the definition to aggravated. Um, if there's ever an aggravated charge, it means that you have made the charge more serious by attendant circumstances, specific heinous circumstances such as torture, or that it is in the commission of another crime. So, a M charge plus robbery would make it aggravated. If it's multiple M, so it's 2 people you unalive, 3 people you unalive, that could make it aggravated. If it's by some dangerous method, i.e., poisoning, that could make it aggravated. And also, if it's a child under the age of 13, that also can make it aggravated. So I just wanted to touch on that again. I'm going to play this interview, and then I'm going to release you guys. But I really wanted you guys to hear what she had to say, as far as what the jury thought, and how they came to their conclusion. So here we go.
ABC News exclusive on the Kouri Richins verdict. The Utah mom found guilty Monday in the murder of her husband. Now, one of the jurors who voted to convict her is taking us inside the deliberation room. Rhiannon Alley joined us with more. Good morning, Rhiannon.
Good morning to you, Michael. Yes, first impressions matter. And the juror we spoke with said it was nearly impossible to get a vibe off of Kouri Richins, saying she didn't really show much emotion during the trial, despite being accused of killing her husband, the father of her children.
Guilty of aggravated murder.
This morning, the foreperson of the jury who found Utah mom Kouri Richins guilty of killing her husband Eric by spiking his drink with a fatal dose of fentanyl is speaking out for the first time.
There was never a not guilty check with anything, with any element, nothing.
Laura and her fellow jurors taking less than 3 hours to find Richins guilty on all 5 counts, including aggravated murder, insurance fraud, and forgery.
Even though it was just 3 hours, I felt like we came into that deliberation fully loaded to evaluate the case and to look at the evidence. We had to zoom in on these little bits of evidence and kind of ignore all the fluff and ignore the drama.
Laura says each juror had their own smoking gun, but they all came to the same conclusion.
We were so pent up with so much information and emotion. And so we decided to just go one by one around the table and just let it out.
In 2023, Richins published this children's book on grief. She says was to help their sons with their loss, even promoting it on TV. The jurors shocked when they were told about the book in the final days of testimony.
Everyone just felt like they're hit with a truck. We're like, what? Like, what the hell is this? It was so odd and so strange.
The defense rested without calling a single witness, arguing there's no proof Kouri killed Eric. Prosecutors countered with their own narrative, portraying the 35-year-old mother of 3 as a black widow, claiming she was having an affair, buried in debt, and desperate for her husband's money. In the end, the jury sided with the prosecution.
People were really sad because they did not want to find her guilty. They were really hoping that she was innocent. And we couldn't come to that conclusion. And it was really heartbreaking, this devastating reality that this family was torn apart. And these poor kids will really basically never have a dad or mom.
Yeah, Richins is facing 25 years to life when she is sentenced May 13th. And Laura says all the jurors had different perspectives looking at this case. Some of them looked strictly at the facts, and then others focused more on the storyline. But she says no matter what they focused on, they all came to the same conclusion, that she was guilty.
Yeah. All right, Rhiannon, thank you.
Okay, thank y'all so much for listening to this. I also want to talk to you guys really quickly before we leave, Sentencing will be on May 13th at 9:30 a.m. Mountain Time. So 11:30 Eastern. And I want to tell you the significance of this. And I'm certain, I am more than positive that this is sheer coincidence, but maybe the Lord and Eric is working in conjunction. But May 13th is Eric Richins' birthday. They are going to sentence her on that man's birthday. Jeez. Talk about coincidence. But I thought that once I heard that, I actually went and looked it up, and on his headstone, they have his date of birth on there, and it's true. May 13th is his birthday. So that'll be sentencing. Of course, I'll post something about sentencing when it happens. I am following a new trial. It is the dentist. She unalived her boyfriend, or allegedly, in Georgia. She shot him through a bedroom door and then tried to cover it up. It's crazy. I listened to day 1 today. We're already on day 2, so I'll be listening all through the night so that I can catch up and start giving updates on that. So Suzanne Miracle is the name of the dentist and the defendant in this case, and it's a wild one, but I will be following and keeping you up to date. This is another one with a crazy 911 call. Y'all, these 911 calls, y'all got to do better. They got to work on their acting skills. I'm trying to tell you some good stuff. Listen, thank y'all so much for joining me on a Thursday evening to recap the week. I hope that this was entertaining and educational. And until next time, I will bid you adieu. Remember that the world has never met another. You go out and be great in it. I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. And like always, good night.